Well, one of the problems is people copy what they see in porn. And in porn, they do all of their warm-up before they turn the cameras on.
Right.
They use lube. They just put it in before they get on set. So learning to have sex from watching porn is like learning to drive from watching a car chase movie. Someone's going to get hurt.
You're listening to Sex with Emily. I'm Dr. Emily, and I'm here to help you prioritize your pleasure and liberate the conversation around sex. Today, I want to talk about anal play. For so many people, this is the most taboo subject in the bedroom, surrounded by fear, shame, and a whole lot of misinformation. Maybe you've tried it once and it was painful. Maybe you're curious but nervous about bringing it up with your partner, or maybe you've written it off completely because of what you've seen in porn or what you've been told growing up. That's why I invited two of the best experts I know, Dr. Charlie Glickman and Dr. Hernando Chavez. Together, we're busting the myths, breaking down the stigma, and giving you real practical tips to explore backdoor pleasure in a safe, fun, and shame-free way. So whether you're brand new, curious, or looking to take your anal play to the next level, this conversation will help you rethink what's possible when you liberate your body from outdated taboos. All right, let's dive in. Hi, Dr. Charlie.
Such a pleasure to be here, Emily.
I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
It's been like you've been on the show in the past, probably 3 years ago in San Francisco, when we were both in San Francisco. I've known you for a while.
It's true.
And your anal career is just taken off.
90% of great anal sex is in your hands. And that doesn't mean that that's 90% of the time you spend having anal sex. But if you can get your partner warmed up with your hands, then everything else is golden. So that's the most important part. One of the things that I hear from men, from women, people who have tried anal sex and have said that it just didn't work, they say, oh, my partner went too fast, it was painful, or I didn't know what I was doing, and my partner started saying that it hurt. You got to warm your partner up. It's just like stretching before you work out at the gym.
I know, and I feel like there's so many people who are like, oh, I had a bad experience once. I was drunk. Someone took it in. We had no lube. It hurt. And then they signed, forever they write off anal sex.
Oh, that's terrible.
Right.
If you know what you're doing, you can make anal play feel awesome. But if you don't know what you're doing, it can be painful. It can be uncomfortable. I've talked to couples that nearly broke up because of the pain that they were having around it. Well, one of the problems is people copy what they see in porn. And in porn, they do all of their warm-up before they turn the cameras on.
Right.
They use lube. They just put it in before they get on set. So learning to have sex from watching porn is like learning to drive from watching a car chase movie. Someone's going to get hurt.
That is great. That's a great way to put it. Do you think anal sex is for everyone?
No. There's nothing that works for everybody. Not when it comes to sex, not when it comes to food. But a lot more people would enjoy it if they knew what they were doing.
Okay.
And, it's funny. I've talked with a lot of my coaching clients who have said, oh, I don't like it. I tried it once. It wasn't any good. And then they learned how to do it right, and all of a sudden they're a fan. No,
yeah.
But
like, what are the misconceptions, and what do you kind of debunk?
Okay. Well, I always start off with the anatomy.
Okay.
Because if you don't know the landscape, you're not going to know how to get there.
Right.
And there's some useful things to know. Like, a lot of people don't realize that the anus, it tightens up when you get stressed out. Like, think about when a cat or a dog gets scared and they tuck their tail under to protect themselves. This is why people who are stressed out all the time, we call them tight asses. It's literally true. But it doesn't matter where the stress is coming from. If you've had a bad day at work, you've been stuck in traffic, you are worried about it hurting, you're going to tighten up, and that's going to make it uncomfortable, and then it tightens up more, and then it becomes painful. So I always start off talking about the anatomy so that people can understand how to do the relaxation. The second thing is when I talk about anal play, I'm not talking about anal intercourse. That's fun stuff, but there's all kinds of things you can do with your hands, you can do with toys. So if you are giving your partner a blowjob and you're tickling around the outside with your finger, in my book, that is still anal sex because it's sex that includes the anus.
Right. Okay.
So one of the things that will make it easier is take anal intercourse off the table for the first couple times, no pressure. The more pressure you have on a goal, the harder it is to get there.
It's true. So prostate massage for men, I mean, there is such a stigma. A lot of men think it's, it'll make them gay, it'll make them whatever. They have no idea about these sensations that they can feel. And now I'm wondering, I know that, again, it's not the same for everybody. Would you say that most men, though, that you have had pleasure from this? Or is there any men who are like, nope, you did it, Charlie, because you're the guy. Like, if I was a guy and I wanted, I'd go to you. But I'm sure, are there men who are like, nope, doesn't feel good, it didn't work?
There's definitely guys who it doesn't work for. But the thing that I always want to tell men is that where your nerve endings are, that's what kind of sex feels good to you. Who you want to have sex with, that's your sexual orientation. And those two things are not the same thing.
Right, exactly.
Just like who you like to eat dinner with is different from what foods you like. It's always about sex and food for me.
Right, it is. No, it totally makes sense, though. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is that when we wrote the book, The Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure, we surveyed over 200 people, men and partners, asking them about their experiences. And we found that the fear of, does this mean something about my sexual orientation was one of the big worries that kept guys from trying it. And the interesting thing is that men who experience anal massage, who receive it, become better givers because you know what it feels like. Why would you, if you went to a spa...
become better givers sexually?
Yeah. Well, because, men who have never received penetration, sex happens outside your body. And it's only when you receive penetration that you realize, oh, I can be super turned on, really into my partner, and still need lots of foreplay.
Right.
And so you become a much more patient giver. And so the partners of men, especially women, say that, wow, now that we've done this, he's much more aware of my needs before we have intercourse, and it's just made his sex life much better. So to explain to me the prostate massage with men, like, is it the kind of thing where it's just be people who, like, let's pretend people have just heard about it, but they don't even get it. Like, is it the kind of thing where if you're starting out, you would just recommend that the two partners do it together, or they kind of work it into their lovemaking, or it's a standalone act, or, they're using toys? How would you suggest people start? Well, let me start off by saying how I don't want anyone to start.
Perfect.
I don't want anyone to surprise their partner with anal penetration.
Never. That
Never.
goes both ways, men and
Never.
women across the board.
Yeah,
never.
We don't want anyone to be surprised, right? Because that's just no fun. I think prostate massage is easier when it's partnered because it's kind of hard to reach on yourself. If you're going to do it solo, use a toy.
Use which toy, like the Aneros?
The Aneros is a really good one. It's a hands-free prostate massager. I'm a big fan. You can also use a dildo. As long as it's more than about 4 or 5 inches long.
Okay.
It'll reach the prostate.
Okay, so you're saying recommend it with a partner, though.
Yeah,
so
it's a little bit easier with a partner.
Yeah, okay.
And, there's all the external stuff, and I talk about it in the book and in my workshops and all of that. But once you have a finger inside, the prostate, it's actually a lot like the G-spot for women. So
right, that's what we always say. It's a male G-spot.
Yeah. You insert a finger, curl it towards the belly button, and you're looking for something about an inch across. It feels like a ripe plum. So soft and firm at the same time. The tricky thing about finding the prostate is that it gets bigger when you get turned on because it
just like the G-spot.
Exactly. It fills up with fluid, and that's actually where semen comes from, part of semen, the fluid. So if your partner isn't turned on enough yet, you might be in exactly the right spot, but you might not feel it because it hasn't gotten bigger.
Right.
That's less true for older men because prostates just get bigger as men get older. 50% of men by age 50 have an enlarged prostate.
Okay, right, I've heard that.
So if you're with a guy who's 25, you might need to get him super turned on.
Like give him a blowjob.
Exactly.
Would you even suggest having sex first?
Sure.
Okay, have sex and then be like...
Blowjob, watch a dirty movie,
So have him come.
Talk.
Have him ejaculate or just get him turned on?
Get him turned on.
Okay, and then flip him over.
And then on his back or face down, whatever feels easier. I like on his back because you can do face to face.
Oh, on his back, and then you're
because then you can see each other.
Okay.
But if you're with a guy who's in his 50s, his baseline size is probably bigger, so you might not need to get him as turned on.
Okay.
To find it.
So let's talk about younger men, though. So
Okay,
you're
so
giving him a blowjob, he's turned on, and then he stays on his back.
Right. And so you've got your glove on to keep things nice
Always
and clean.
wear a glove.
You've got your lube on your fingers. All that stuff about finding the prostate. So when you get your finger inside. It's about 3
Does it matter which finger?
I like the index finger because it's more flexible because you're going to be there for a little while. So if you insert your finger and just aim up towards the belly button, and you'll know you're on the right spot if you can feel it on your fingertip. But if you're not sure, sometimes for guys it feels utterly amazing as soon as you touch it. It's like, oh, wow, that's perfect. Sometimes the sensation he'll get is like he needs to go to the bathroom.
That sounds just like
the G-spot.
Right.
If you get that sensation, that means you're on the right spot. Back the pressure off about 20%.
Okay.
Also like the G-spot.
Right.
And then once you've found the prostate, 3 really good moves. You can do the come hither move.
Right.
Which is like the G-spot. You can do circles. And circles, you can do big circles across the entire gland or little circles just on one spot. And then the third stroke that you can also try is like an in and out motion, but maintaining contact. So like
so you stay in.
So
but
like an up, like maintaining upward pressure while you slide in and out. You can't see this on the
Right.
podcast, but we're doing hand gestures as we're
Right,
talking about
exactly.
these things.
We should take a picture now. Okay, and then how long would it usually? And then you just get into same thing, relaxed breathing.
Yeah.
And then they could have explosive. The orgasm is a different kind of. How would you explain it?
So
I know it's so hard to explain
It's hard.
orgasms.
So one thing I do want to say is that his penis might not be fully hard. Sometimes with anal penetration, he may lose his erection, and that's probably because the muscles that trap blood inside the penis relax when you also relax the anus. So even if he's soft, if he's having a good time, don't worry about it.
Okay. And you can tell if he's having a good time.
Yeah.
If he's like, time for Netflix, you're like, okay.
Yeah, but if his eyes are rolling back in his head and he's saying, oh, wow, that's amazing, don't worry if he's not hard.
Okay, and you'd recommend starting with fingers in a glove, not
Absolutely.
toys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back to talk about your back door with Dr. Charlie Glickman, and I take a call about how to bring up anal with your partner. Do you think that a lot of couples can benefit from exploring anal play, and if so, how?
I think people could, well, yes, I think people can. And I think one of the big reasons is that, we're used to thinking only of this one part of our bodies as our sex organ. So I think it's great when you can explore the sexual sensations of your entire body, your skin, your breasts, your pecs, your nipples, whatever. And the ass, the anus in particular, is this section where like people have so much stigma, so much fear around it.
Taboo.
And if you're not present in your ass, you're not fully present in your body. By definition, because
true.
here's a part of your body that you're just not tuned into.
Right.
So even if you don't find it sexually fun or erotically fun, just being able to be aware of what's going on in that part of my body increases your ability to feel pleasure.
Right. It's like another place that you can feel pleasure on your body. And like I would say,
Absolutely.
sex is expansive. Like, why should you limit yourself just to having a clitoral orgasm or G-spot? Or like, what if you could have all this other pleasure?
Lots of options.
So many options.
So yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, obviously, but I do, but I do think that even if it's not your main focus, just being able to be aware of the sexual sensations that you might have there can be really intimate and
Yeah.
can be really exciting.
And what about tips for women for experiencing anal sex and like, what would you say, like relaxing, but also what about orgasms? Like I've had a few women, like they're porn stars on the show, and they're like, I know other women do too,
so-
have orgasms and during anal
so
sex.
here's the thing. Some people can orgasm just from anal play. Some people need G-spot or clitoral play at the same time. That doesn't mean that one person is better than the other.
Right.
But I have
There's no hierarchy, like you're better because you can have an anal.
whatever works for you.
Right.
But also, I've talked to a couple of women who say that they get better G-spot stimulation through anal play.
Yeah.
Especially anal intercourse. They get better G-spot play. So, if somebody says, "Oh, I easily orgasm from anal sex," it might just be that she found the right angle to hit her G-spot.
Right.
So you can also play with that, and that can also be affected by the shape and size and curvature.
It's anatomy. I was going to say the way
penis.
we're all built, right?
Yeah.
Or the penis that you're with, or your body, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the way your G-spot is.
I met a guy once whose penis had a really strong upward curve, and his girlfriend loved it because it was perfect for her G-spot.
Right.
She
was a keeper.
But then if they were in doggy style, it would miss her G-spot, right? So you really get to play with these kinds of things.
Right. And people should keep playing with these things.
Yeah.
Like the couples who come to you but doing the same thing. I mean, that's just what amazed me. That's why you and I exist, is to help people experience different things.
And some, like I said, some people can orgasm from anal play on its own, but if you need a vibrator on your clit at the same time, go for it.
I know. This is what I was, same thing I was talking to someone yesterday. She's like, I haven't been able to orgasm with a partner. I'm like, okay, you, along with 70% of, women, and of the 30% who can, it's not every time, but what's wrong with, God, we talk about this, but what's wrong with using your vibrator on your clit? I mean, like,
Nothing.
And then nothing at all.
Yeah.
Guys, people shouldn't freak out about it.
Yeah. And, and I've talked to women who have real specific sexual patterns. Like, it has to be exactly this kind of touch in this position, or it just doesn't work for me. And other folks who, they have a lot more options. And that just seems to be how different bodies are wired.
But do you think it's because they just believe they have certain, like if you work with people and you're like, let's expand this, let's see if you can have it this way, and they go back to where they are?
Yeah, and it doesn't mean they don't
Nothing
enjoy
wrong with it.
It doesn't mean they don't enjoy the other stuff. But it may just be the way their bodies are wired.
Right. Okay, so couples who are just starting out, let's say they're like, okay, we want to try it. What would you recommend, like toy? What would you say, like start with some butt plugs and lube before, or fingers first? Or let's say we did the fingers.
Yeah, so we got fingers first.
We got fingers first.
Yeah, I think butt plugs are lots of fun, especially
There's so
because
many now.
There's lots of them. They're hands-free, so you can combine them with other kinds of sex super easy. I mean, you can wear them while you're sitting in the car. Although I will just give folks a warning, if you do want to wear a butt plug when you go out in public, like maybe you're going out for romantic Valentine's Day dinner or whatever, bring a plastic baggie so that you have somewhere to put your plug if you need to duck into a bathroom and take it out.
I understand that. Okay, but let's go back to the couples.
Your purse is not the place for that.
No. You want to throw away your purse if you throw it in there. But let's just start about like using butt plugs. There's different kinds. There's like vibrating, there's the silicone, there's big, there's small. Like what would you...
So start off small. The difficulty with plugs, two things about butt plugs that folks don't know. One is that the neck of the plug, that has to rest in the anal canal, which is about 1.5 inches long. So the bulb the neck has to be at least 1 inch long so that the bulb goes all the way inside. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's going to fall out. And if the bulb is not big enough, it's also going to fall out. So if you want something small, check out one of the stainless steel plugs by Enjoy, because they can make the stainless steel really skinny.
Right, okay.
The silicone plugs, if they make them that skinny, they tear.
And would you say couples share their butt plugs?
If you want to share plugs, you can do that. You've got a couple of options. One is put a condom on it so that you've got a nice clean surface. Or the stainless steel or silicone ones, you can wash with soap and water and then put in the top rack of a dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, wash your toy and then put it in boiling water for 5 minutes. Because you do want to be careful about...
Absolutely. I have like toy cleaner and stuff, but even sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I put it in the dishwasher. Although,
which toys? Is
silicone or steel?
I did not know that you could put this
Yeah, silicone.
Butt plugs, but not like...
Dildo, as long as there's no vibrator.
Okay, got it.
But one thing is, if you put your toy in the dishwasher, make sure you're the one to empty the dishwasher.
I had this problem with my housekeeper. I told this on the show a few weeks ago. She came over and they weren't in the dishwasher, but they were on the drying rack. And it was a little embarrassing that I forgot to take them off. She didn't touch them, though. She put them in a bowl. Okay, I got some questions for my listeners. Would you mind helping me answer?
Bring it.
Because you're the man to do so. Okay, thank you, everybody, for emailing me, feedback@sexwithemily.com. And you guys have been so freaking awesome lately, because all I ask is that you tell me how old you are and where you live. And also, if you want to tell me how you listen to the show. So thank you, everyone, for doing that. Anyway, Emily. Recently tried pegging, but have not yet tried prostate massage. Both my female partner and I really enjoyed the pegging. However, we are not sure how to do the P-spot massage or how it should feel if it's done correctly. I assume gloves should be worn for safety. Are there any toys that could help us, similar to G-spot toys? Thanks, Rick. So first we should talk about pegging, because a lot of people don't know what pegging is.
Yeah.
So let's just explain, or I guess there's the next question. But yeah, let's talk about pegging real quick.
So pegging is when women wear a strap-on dildo with a man on the receiving side. The word was coined by Dan Savage about 12, 13 years ago, maybe.
Nobody coined it. Awesome.
Yeah, he did a survey. He asked people, he came up with 3 words and asked people to vote, and pegging was what won the vote. So
it's a good one.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Because we needed that word.
Totally.
And so if you're already doing pegging, you've got the warm-up down. If you enjoy it, you've got that stuff sorted out. So a couple things you can do with prostate play with pegging. One is get a curved dildo, or a dildo with a really prominent bulb or head. And then angle the curve so that it is angled up towards your belly button. So if it's curved up, that's good for face-to-face. Okay. If it's curved down, that's good for doggy style.
Okay.
And your partner, have her, as she's thrusting, kind of aim her thrusts up towards your belly button. So rather than going directly in and out, get a little bit of an angle
with the toy?
With the toy.
Okay.
Right. So you may need to play around with different positions.
Which toys, again, would you recommend for the same ones?
Well, like any dildo with a curve.
Okay. Any that you like?
I like the Charm,
which
is made by PleasureWorks, sold through Good Vibrations.
Okay.
Because it's got a nice curve to it, and it is smooth. You want a toy that's nice and smooth for anal play.
Yep.
But really, any G-spot toy will work because it's got that curve.
What about with the vibrations, though? Just a dildo? Men like vibrations, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right? Nothing wrong with little vibrations.
Absolutely. Vibration's fun. And then the one other thing I'd recommend for pegging with prostate play is she can also put her hand on like your lower belly right above the pubic bone and kind of press down towards the bed, and that'll kind of squeeze the prostate down towards the dildo.
Just like
so squeezing from the outside and the inside, just like the
These
G-spot.
are such good tips.
Yeah, try that and let us know how that goes.
Yeah, let us know, Rick. I want to know how it goes. Okay, we've got another one. Dear Emily, my fiance and I enjoy partaking in pegging, except I need major help in figuring out how the heck you pull it off correctly, and I'm not talking about the strap-on either. We, of course, draw our inspirations from porn and the loads of kinky stuff on the internet, but when push comes to shove, literally, I feel like I need a flip chart to figure out the various insertion positions for each position we get ourselves into. Why does my body not go effortlessly into the sexy thrusting positions I see various vixens performing on their men in movies? I feel like a floppy fish or whale trying to figure out how to move my body to get the strap-on in his hole. Is there a good resource for a girl like me to figure out body positions and how to center myself for the best possible pleasure for my man? This is not something I can talk to anyone else about, so any tips or advice is appreciated. Oh, much love, Strapless in Seattle. Oh, wait, she said, just kidding, location-wise, I'm actually in the Bay Area, because I was going to say you're now in Seattle.
I just moved from Oakland to Seattle last
week. She's 28 years old, but Charlie does see clients, too, so if you're interested, we're going to talk about this after, but you can see clients everywhere, right? Because you do Skype.
I do Skype.
Anyway, she's funny, but she's not in Seattle. Okay, anyway, female 28.
Okay, so here's a couple of things. One is you're going to have to play with different positions because your body's shape, your partner's body's shape, the dildo you're using. So I can't be super specific, but first thing, put a pillow under his hips to lift him up a little bit.
Okay.
That'll give you more flexibility, more options. Another really good position is for him to be on his elbows and knees, or he can stand on the bed and bend forward over the bed, and you can stand on the floor.
Okay.
But you said something really important, which is that the thrusting in and out motion, that's not the natural motion for most women who are feeling sexy. And most women do more of a hip swivel, figure eight kind of motion. And the thrusting in and out, that's a different kind of core strength. Okay. So if you have trouble doing that for a while, to be honest, the best thing you can do is some Pilates.
Oh, okay.
Because it actually takes a lot of core strength. In fact, I said earlier about how men who receive anal become better givers. A lot of women I've talked to who try pegging discover things like, oh, now I see why my boyfriend collapses on top of me after sex, because this is work. I mean, it's awesome and it's fun, but it's a lot of effort. So you're going to need to build up some core strength to be able to do that.
That's great.
Yoga
too is good.
Yoga is good, but it's definitely a lot of core strength. Mm-hmm. And for the positioning, I should have mentioned this before. I'm a big fan of the Liberator pillows.
Oh, I love Liberator. Yeah.
Because they're firm and they hold everything, they hold your partner in a good position.
The wedge, or do you recommend it? Just, there's so many different
I like the wedge, actually. The ramp is also fun. It's a little big.
I have the ramp. They sent me the ramp. My place is so small. I'm like, where do I put it? It's like, it's always falling off it's like hidden behind my clothes rack, but then someone come over and it'll fall over. I'm like, oh, there's my ramp.
Tricky.
I like it. It's got the cuffs on it. Anyway, okay, that's great advice. I love sex furniture.
Yeah, try the wedge.
Okay, we got one more question. Is there anything else with that?
No.
Okay, because we got to get all of our... You're the man here. I'm so glad. Hello, I'm 21. I've been with my girlfriend for 4 years. I wanted to know how I could bring up pegging to her. She will occasionally finger my back door, but she feels a little weird about it, and I don't know if she will be into it. Thanks. No name, but, let's call him Mike.
Okay. Hi, let's call him
21.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah, why not?
So, this is actually a really common question. How do I ask my partner about
blank?
Fill in the blank.
Right.
So, a mistake I see a lot of people make is they bring it up during sex. And the reason why that's a mistake is because you're killing, if your partner has any kind of negative reaction, it kills the mood and causes a big, big fight. You're better off asking the question when you're not in the middle of sex.
Always. Breakfast, road trip.
And actually, I like that you said road trip, because when you're sitting side by side and not face to face, it can be easier to have those conversations. It's less threatening. So while you're walking the dog together is a good time to do it.
That is a great point.
Yeah. So a couple of good ways to do it. One is to say something like, oh, I was listening to this podcast about pegging, and I'm really curious about it. Or I went to this website. Go to my book's website, prostatepleasureguide.net, and then you can say to your partner, oh, yeah, I found this really interesting website. Have you ever thought about this? What do you think about trying this thing?
But don't you think most women, if they hadn't heard of it, they might be like, because most people haven't heard of it. I mean, we come from this world, but...
Well, and I might say something like, I was reading this website about anal play for men, and I'm kind of curious about it.
Right.
And then,
this podcast said it would rock my world, and
Yeah.
I'd have the most amazing feelings.
And that can be a really good way to do it. If she feels weird about it, then the question that as a coach I would ask is, what about this feels weird to you? Is it that, there's anal sex phobia and you're worried about germs? Is it that you think that receiving penetration means that you're gay, which is not true? We talked about that earlier. Is it that you feel nervous about doing something that you don't know anything about and maybe you just need to read a book? So the question is, what is it about this that makes you uncomfortable? And is there a way we can overcome that? There might not be.
Right, exactly.
But
that you can't convince everyone, but that's a great way to go about it.
Yeah, that's my way.
Great, good.
So, yeah,
Charlie, I'm
wherever
so glad
you are.
you're here on the planet. Thank you so much for being here with me. We can talk to Marcus. Marcus called. Marcus, 34 in Wisconsin. Hi, Marcus. Thanks for calling. What's going on?
Hi. Yeah, so my question is, every time I'm down on my wife, she enjoys it, and I enjoy giving that to her. I would like to kind of push it a little bit farther towards some anal play.
Okay.
Whether it is with, my finger, tongue, or whatnot, I just don't know how to bring that up to her in a way that's not going to freak her out or, kind of be off-putting right away.
Right. Okay. Great, Marcus. Well, I've got a few ideas for you. So the best way to do this, to enter into an anal agreement when you haven't before, is to talk about it when you are not in the bedroom. So you don't want to surprise someone, right, with a finger. But next time you guys are, hanging out, if you're having dinner, and you could just say, well, Marcus, tell me this. Do you guys ever talk about your sex life and what satisfies you and what you're into, what she likes?
It's usually kind of in the heat of moments. I'll ask her what she likes, and she always kind of just says, anything you do, which, I'm happy to hear. But at the same time, I kind of want to, try this.
Of course.
But at the same time, there's been talks before where it's no.
Okay.
But it's more so just straight penetration that she's said no to, but not.
Right.
I really haven't asked her the idea of
Yeah.
of anything
Okay.
else with that.
I got it, Marcus. I totally get it. So here's my suggestion for you. So, because I hear this a lot. So if you haven't talked about sex before, I think this is a great opportunity for you to say to her, I realize, how long have you been together, Marcus?
8 years.
8 years. Okay, perfect. So it's funny though, Marcus, you're not alone in that. Most couples that I talk to here on the show haven't talked about their sex life because, we don't have a great model of it. Our parents didn't talk to us about it. We're afraid that we're going to get judged. And so we just decide not to say anything, which is why your wife, much like how I was when I was in my 30s, if someone asked me, if a guy asked me, are you into this? I'd be like, yeah. And they'd say, what else do you want me to do? I'd say, everything's great. Because I didn't know what else there was to say because I wasn't comfortable and I hadn't done a lot of exploring. I hadn't done a lot of the masturbation all the hours I've been logging and all the sex I've been logging since. So the conversation goes something like this. I realize we've been together for so long and I really love the sex we're having. And you could even give some examples. You turn me on. I love the way you taste when I go down on you, all the things, and say, but I realize that we've been together a long time and I think I would just really love to do some playing with you and figure out what might you be into? And I know we haven't talked about it, but is there a fantasy you have? And if she doesn't answer there, because she might, again, most people haven't talked about it until this moment, but I've advised thousands of couples to have conversations like this, Marcus. And so she might brittle at it and say, why are you talking about this? Oh, is our sex life not great? That's kind of where our minds go. But you might want to say to her, I just want to make sure we're great lovers to each other. Maybe you could start with, what are the 3 most memorable times you've had sex? With moments. Are there 3 moments that stick out for you? Because then by her telling you that, That starts the conversation. And then you could tell her what you liked, and then you could just see where it goes from there. Now, you have to remember that it's not a one-time conversation. It's ongoing. And hopefully she'll take to this conversation. You can always like start it and call me back because I am here every night. But you could just say, and then if you get to this point, you could say, I've just been fantasizing. Like, I know we've talked about anal sex, but I think anal play, which, by the way, coming soon, August is Anal August. We're going to be here for it. You could say to her, I just want to like, I've been listening to this show. People blame me all the time, Marcus. This show, Sex with Emily. She talks about there's all these nerve endings. It can feel great for women. I'd love to just kind of use my finger or my mouth. We could take a shower together. I'm getting in front of all the things she's going to worry about, like how's her hygiene. And you could say, I just want to like taste it or like see how it feels. I can go really slow because you could say, I've said on the show, which is true, we have so much fear around it because we had a bad experience once. We've heard it's painful. It's not sanitary. It's taboo, all the things. But once we let all of that go and we're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna open my mind and see and go slow. It actually can feel really good because there's so many nerve endings. There's so many ways to play. And so you could just say, I would love to continue to keep expanding and trying new things because not because you're bored, not because maybe you're bored. To be honest, we do the same things over and over again in the bedroom. But because for intimacy to grow in a relationship, we have to keep trying new things. We try new foods. We try new exercise. But we don't, so sex is the same way. So how do you feel about having just a conversation with her overall and then seeing how it feels to kind of get her comfortable with it and then kind of move into that?
It's one of those things where I just don't know how it's going to go because, like you said, we've never had that conversation before. So it's going to be interesting because, I feel like she's going to start questioning things.
Yep.
With that, but
okay. Well,
every time it's usually we're doing something and I'll ask, does that feel good? Do you want me to continue that?
She doesn't know.
Should I be somewhere else with it?
She has no idea.
She'll direct me in the moment like that, which
that's good.
More than appreciative of that, just because I just want to make sure she's getting the best experience possible.
Right, which I love. And that's another thing to say, Marcus, is I just want to make sure you could even say to her, you know what, babe, this is really hard for me to say. It's very uncomfortable. I've never talked about this before, but I love you. You're my wife. And I want you to know that this is nothing. I know that a lot can come up for you right now. This isn't about you and this isn't about like anything wrong you're doing. I just know how important it is I've seen it in so many couples. I hear it on the show I listen to, if you feel comfortable with that so many couples eventually their sex life just becomes non-existent because they don't talk about it and they keep doing the same things. And apparently there's a lot of things we could learn together. Sex can feel amazing in all these ways and you can have orgasms. Most women can have multiple orgasms and you might have to just in that first conversation, Marcus, be patient and be okay with her say, and I just want to tell you what I want to say. And then you go into, I would love to explore. I'd love to start having a dialogue with you. And then see what she says. That first one again might be about her, then you could say, and what are your response to that? And it might be about her getting comfortable with it. And then you have another one. But I understand too, Marcus, that maybe she grew up in a religious household. Maybe she was told that it was wrong to talk about. Maybe she has no idea what feels good. So what I love is it's only been 8 years and you're 34 years old. So you can start, things that are worth having in life take some effort. And I believe that for everyone who's in a relationship and not in a relationship, we all deserve to have really healthy, expansive, intimate lives. And it starts with these kind of conversations that are awkward at first, and she might be taken aback by it. But again, if she cares about the intimacy and prioritizing pleasure, which is, a lot of couples, again, they listen to my show together. They listen to my podcast the last 15 years together, and it helps them, or you research, find an article or something that she could start to get her head around, that it's not just you, but it's actually science, that there's a lot of pleasure to be had for her. And most people do not get healthy sex education and information unless they seek it out, because it's not on billboards. It's not on TV, right? So you happen to see this driving along and listening, but so be patient with her that I'm assuming she's never really thought about or talked about it, at least not in the way that we need her to. Okay?
Yeah, I completely, yes, in that aspect of kind of she being reserved. in that, and we've never had that dialogue, and it's kind of one of those things that it's slightly been awkward if we have talked about, just a quick thing when nothing is going on between us.
Well, you could say that. This is really uncomfortable. I know we've never talked about it unless we're having in the bedroom. But I'm asking this because I want this to become a really important part of our relationship and how we can be better lovers to each other, how we can have more intimacy. And I don't know, maybe you're not just talking about sex. Maybe you want more hand holding. Maybe you want more cuddling. Maybe there's, it's all about intimacy and connection. So just say, I think it's important. I'd love for us to figure out a way to have conversations about this, to get past the awkwardness, because it's uncomfortable for me too. But I think it's important for us to do this and then just listen. So, just go back to but I think it's important. We can keep talking about it and you can call me back. A lot of people have the first conversation and then you call me back next week and let me know how it goes, or tomorrow. And I can help you kind of figure out the next steps, because it's brave and I know it's not easy, but it's so important. And then you'll be able to get into the anal and all the other things, but you can't go from 0 to anal.
Okay.
Thanks, Marcus. Thanks for your call. Keep me posted, okay? I'll be here. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but don't miss Dr. Hernando Chavez and I myth-busting all the things people get wrong about butt play. The wellness space is crowded with gimmicks and quick fixes, but long-term performance, that takes the right foundation. That's why I was so excited to find the Women's 3 from Momentous. It's a simple, science-backed system created with Dr. Stacy Sims, one of the world's leading experts in female physiology. Together, they didn't just create another product. They addressed what most women actually need across every stage of life. The system focuses on iron, calcium, and vitamin D3, 3 nutrients that are often overlooked but critical for energy, bone health, recovery, and resilience. And the way it's delivered matters. AM and PM doses are optimized to avoid nutrient interference and boost absorption. Every ingredient in the Women's 3 is NSF certified for sport, the gold standard in independent testing. It's not the industry norm. It's the Momentous standard. That means suitable for professional and Olympic athletes, verified label accuracy, and guaranteed purity and potency. But this isn't just about products. Momentous is also stepping up with Change the Ratio, a $500,000 commitment to close the gender gap in health and performance science. With only 6% of studies dedicated to women's physiology and biology in this space, they're investing in the research, institutions, and experts who are changing the game for women. This is about more than equity. It's about seeing what's truly possible. So if you're ready to cut through the noise and build your routine on real science, check it out. Head to livemomentous.com and use code Emily for up to 35% off your first subscription order. That's Emily at livemomentous.com. I'm here with my friend Hernando, Dr. Chavez. Hello.
Emily, hello.
So let's move into little anal sex, because last year around this time we were holing up in my apartment. I was prepping for an anal sex workshop, and Hernando does a lot of workshops, and I was like, I'm just so much better working with you, with someone one-on-one. We put together, we talked a lot about anal, and you're an anal connoisseur.
I'd have to say that that's my favorite coffee shop to go to.
Yeah.
My favorite latte.
Yeah, exactly. I thought we could just do a little rundown here. These are like common questions. People are really, obsessed. A lot of people are kind of obsessed with anal sex too, and want to know, what do you think the appeal is, or why people are so obsessed with it?
Well, I think part of the appeal about anal sex is also because it's in that area of the butt, and I think there's a lot of there's boob men, there's butt men, there's people who have different parts of the body, but when you're really into the ass, anal just makes sense. And so for a lot of people, especially Latin guys like myself, or black guys, or people of color, different cultures, it just seems to be like this desire to want to engage with the curvature and the hourglass sort of nature, area of.
Look, he's like gripping an ass right now as he's talking. It's very sexy. He's like the ass. I'm like, wow.
I'm making melons in my hand. And so I think that it for people, that physical arousal does transfer into a lot of their desires. And then also anal has this wonderful taboo sort of context to it that really does, I think, get under people's skin and psychologically just get them excited and aroused.
Because of the taboo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And people always want to know, how do I do it better? Or they're afraid of it. We're going to be answering some emails about it. But let's just break down some of the myths, let's say, or taboos. Fears. The butt is exit only, not for pleasure. We hear that, why do anal? and you can like have so many, you have the vagina, or it's not even an erogenous zone. Mm-hmm. Not true.
Not true.
It can be, for some people, it might be painful. They don't want, it might be not an erogenous zone, but for many it is. And a lot of pleasure from it.
I think a lot of people never give it a chance.
Right.
And they have it in their mindset already that, hey, this is not a place where I should go to, that the exit-only sort of philosophy is what I live and stand by, and they don't even experiment and explore. And imagine if we just denied ourselves from trying out something that could be so enjoyable or pleasurable. I always use the sushi metaphor. Like, how many of us did not want to try sushi that first time?
Yeah, I didn't.
Like, raw fish? Are you kidding me? Like, no, I'm not eating that. Like, cook it,
Right.
please. And then all of a sudden, how many times do you...
If I could, I would eat it breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
I love sushi.
What's your
You're right.
favorite kind of sushi?
Spicy tuna, or eel and avocado roll, yellowtail, hamachi.
I
Oh my
like
God,
when
I'm getting so hungry.
when it melts in your
Tuna
mouth.
Tataki, it's so good.
That's what anal sex can
anal,
do.
anal sex can melt in your mouth. It's true. But people say, another is, speaking of melting in your mouth, it's too dirty, it's messy, it's painful to be sexy, people think. But, no, it can be, there's poop in there. They think, oh, it can't be sexy, but we're going to tell them how it can be. Anal sex is only for gay men. And if you like it, that means that you're gay. People say that too. Not true. You're a straight man.
I am.
You identify straight.
I identify straight.
And you like anal play in your anal?
I like it.
Anus?
With my partners and with myself. So for me, it's an area that has so many nerve endings, and it can be so, like we said, taboo and arousing and pleasurable that we might as well explore it to see if we have compatibility with our partners in that area. And this whole idea that it's dirty or unhygienic. I mean, look. When we take a shower, when we cleanse ourselves, when we do a little bit of prep work, I mean, that's how our bodies work, and we can, freshen them up to in my opinion, to a place where we can feel really good about the sexual experiences and the scents and the tastes and the touches that we have.
Right, but how did you get into it? How did you, like, the first time you tried it? Were you with a partner, or did you with your own anus?
Oh,
because a lot of men,
myself or
because
with
I'm
a
always.
partner?
Well, it doesn't, however you first, because a lot of men, that I think that's the biggest thing I hear is guys are like, well, now I feel like men are starting to say, I'm kind of curious, but I'm not really sure what to do. And all the things, like, doesn't make me gay, but they don't know how to even stimulate themselves.
Right.
So, I mean, I know you're a sex educator and doctor and all that. But.
For myself, it was about a partner who just was moseying on around that area and just like started grazing in that region with their finger. And I thought, there was like a conflict I was experiencing. It was like, wow, that feels really good, but whoa, that's not like what I'm supposed to be feeling, or I shouldn't be liking that. So I'm going back and forth kind of in my head, and you're kind of like, yes, more, no, please stop. And yes, no, more, please stop,
Right.
And I just found that, once you get comfortable with somebody and you want them
Was it a finger the first time?
It wasn't even inside. It was just on the outside.
Oh, right, the outside, because there are so many nerve endings. It can feel really good.
Yeah, and a lot of women will play with your balls, and they'll kind of like go a little bit south, and then start playing with your perineum, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that does feel kind of good. And then there's just like this accidental graze on the anus, and then you're like, you could do that again if you want.
Right.
But you don't know how to say it because you're like,
right, because people don't know how to communicate. So what did you say? You're like, do that again.
Not the first time. No, I didn't say anything. I just like put it in the memory box.
Right. You're like, oh, check.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And then as we got, we got more educated and more experienced, like all of a sudden we realized, oh, there can be like a communication about this, or we can incorporate some lube, or we can actually like involve this and enjoy it. So it's a process. I know a lot of people listening, that first step is the hardest one, and just being able to acknowledge it within yourself that this is a place where I can venture to explore.
Exactly. Men and women. It's true. Because a lot of women think that, they don't like, they think they don't like anal sex, or they would never like it, or maybe they had a bad experience, or it was really, really painful.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad experiences.
I know, first time, and they write it off forever because you didn't use lube, you weren't warmed up, someone just shoved it in. That's not good. That's why today we're going to tell you how to do it the right way.
Do you want to hear about my first experience on me?
Oh yeah.
So I was always fascinated by it with my first college girlfriend, and she would allow me to try, and I didn't know what I was doing. On her.
Okay.
I had no clue what I was doing. I was literally, I was just put a dunce hat on me. I was the most uneducated, worst anal sex experience ever. And
I'm sure a lot of women cannot relate to what you're saying right now. Right.
And I didn't know. I mean, I cared about her. I loved her. I didn't want to hurt her, but I didn't know I needed lube. So we would try these things with hands or body parts, penises, and no lube was involved. And I could only imagine the awful experiences she was having. And it was just the two of us not knowing what we were doing.
Right.
She didn't know to recommend it. I didn't know what to recommend.
How would you know then? Right.
So once we were taking a shower, and she was always a trooper. She was always like trying, and we just never could get, it couldn't emulate like what I'd see in porn. And all of a sudden we're in the shower, and she was such a passive, submissive, sweet, sweet girl. And she got this like rage inside of her as we were taking a shower together.
Wow.
She took her finger and she just jammed it up inside of me. And I was literally plastered up against the tile, and I was just like, my hands were spread, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? I was like under her total control. I couldn't move. I was like, and she says, now you know how it feels.
Oh my God.
And I was like, whoa, that's awful. So we didn't do it again
Wow.
after that.
No, she did that just to show you, wow.
She didn't
anger.
know. Yeah. She had
That's a way to show you. And it hurt. Right. Anyone goes right in like that. When you're not
it
hurt.
hurt like,
Dude,
worst pain
that's
in
a
life.
good story. And then is that what turned you into a sex doctor? You're like, I want to get this right. I don't want to finger up my ass when I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about how to prep. What did you say? Did you pick up with her? That's kind of killer. Like, that's like a drunken thing. She was like in the shower, premeditated, like, I'm going to stick this finger in your butt. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Because how would you know? Yeah, guys don't think about that. And women, we don't know. We don't know. But that's what we're here to tell everyone.
But it taught me a lot. Like, she wasn't able to communicate that it was painful, and I wasn't able to ask those questions.
Right.
And
We've all been there.
That was like our non-use of words to say, this hurts, and let's like take a break. Let's stop.
Because you kept trying.
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't know it was painful. Isn't it funny that when I've been there too. Things have hurt. I'm like, no, it's okay. We're in pain. But that's why you should always speak up if you're in pain. And even when you're not in pain, you should speak up about everything about sex, which is what we talk a lot about in the show. So let's talk about the preparation, getting ready for anal sex. So people are like, is it dirty? Like, how do I wash that area? Do I need to, do an enema, like clear the runway? Like, what do you recommend? Like, I say you could do an enema if you wanted to.
You could,
but it's not necessary.
It's almost like some people say, well, I have to have a partner who takes a shower before we have sex. And some people are like, I don't really care. Like, I like the way you smell. And, if, it's a little bit of the day has gone by. Like, I'm okay with it. So everybody's got their own sort of hygienic needs.
That's true.
But it should be talked about. We should get to know our partner's hygiene needs. And if playing in the anus or playing in the rectum is part of like your desires, you want to bring that up and just find out like how far should we go? Because we can make it squeaky clean, or we can just sort of ride the wave of in the moment and just acknowledge that it might get a little dirty, it might get a little messy, but that could be okay. Right.
Because sex is messy. Sex can be messy. It's okay. But, just if you just want to do the basics, you can just shower, clean your genitals beforehand. Right. Use non-irritating soap, stick a little finger inside, rinse, just do that. So I don't think that exactly. Case by case basis, decide how you feel about it and stick up for that. Safety first, condoms, and very important. Clean and trim. Hernando, you let me know that you trimmed your fingernails. Keith, I think you thought we were having anal today?
I didn't know if this would be experiential.
Right, maybe.
Yeah.
We just started, so we'll see. So clean and trim fingernails, very important. Because we always think you should start with the finger.
Yeah. And one mistake I made today is I didn't file my nails.
I dude, I'm sorry. I was going to do it, but you didn't file. Damn you. Our most important starring role is lube.
Yes.
Besides your finger, penis, or toys. Lube, it makes any sexual experience more pleasurable. You know how I feel about lube. The whiter, the better. And the anal canal, not self-lubricating. Like the vagina will self-lubricate. The anus will not. Like non-negotiable, you need lube during sex. But which lube is the best?
I found out how dry it was back in college, and
exactly.
I never forgot that.
Never forgot it.
And we've got, I think, you and I were having a great discussion earlier about what can we do to help line that rectum.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Want to talk about that?
Yeah. You showed me some, Hernando. Oh my God, we took some videos. I'm going to save the ones on Snapchat, but he came in here with a huge box of sex toys. Of butt plugs. And he was like, what did you say? You're like, what if I got hit walking across the street and butt plugs went flying across Santa Monica Boulevard? And that would have been hilarious.
All over Hollywood.
I would have laughed. I would have saved you. I would have come to save you, but then I would have just had to take pictures of the butt plugs. But you brought some cool stuff. Should we talk about some of the stuff happening with lube?
Sure. So as you were saying, the rectum doesn't self-lubricate like the vagina does. So we've got to take into consideration that the inside of during anal sex of the rectum is totally dry, and that's where a lot of pain comes from people. So what are we going to do about that? Sometimes something I call the squeegee effect is what a lot of people will do, and it's one way to try to lubricate the rectum, but it actually sometimes works against us or doesn't work very well. And what I mean by that is, imagine the person putting all this lubrication on the penis, or on the dildo or the toy, and they're going to have anal, and they just sort of insert it. And the anus itself, because it's closed and tight, actually it squeegees a lot of that lube off.
Right.
So you're kind of inserting inside with very little lube.
Right.
But you think you put a lot of lube on.
Right, because you did. But
it's all on the outside, or most of it.
Right. So now we have what? We have the lube shooter.
Lube shooter,
Do you recommend the lube shooter?
I love them. I think they're really valuable, but it's not very sexy, especially if it's like a hookup or someone you're just sort of getting intimate with.
It literally looks like a water gun, but you shoot or like a shot,
like a syringe,
like a syringe, right?
You fill it up with lube and you sort of insert it gently, shoot inside.
Okay.
But they have these new products. They have these new like a gel sort of silicone capsules that you insert inside of the rectum, and they actually dissolve. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes, and it dissolves.
Just keeps dissolving and allowing. That's really brilliant.
It's like a lube suppository. I think it's brilliant. You could use it for vaginal, but I think it's really beneficial for
You could use it for vaginal as well. Obviously, yeah, that makes sense too. Because it's true. Yeah, the lube you gotta reapply. Don't be ashamed to reapply. Lube on every nightstand.
Emily, what do you think about water-based versus silicone?
For anal or for anything in life, I like them both. It depends what I'm doing. I like hybrid too, but I like silicone if you're using like skin condoms, which are polyisoprene. You don't have to worry about it as much. Silicone lasts longer. It's slippier. Slippy.
Is it slippy?
Slippy.
It's slippy.
And lasts longer, and it could be a little harder to clean up, but I like it for anal.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you?
I like silicone for anal for sure because the water-based absorbs more in the rectum because it is a water absorption canal. So it will run out over time. So if you are a person who lasts longer, or if it's kind of like, it could dry up a little bit inside there, whereas the silicone would last a bit more. Personally, I've always liked a combination of different ones, but I'm kind of on this Wicked Ultra kick. That's like my favorite lube right now for anal. And then for if a partner is comfortable with vaginal silicone use, I like Uber Lube these days.
Yeah,
So,
I like Uber Lube. I like Joe Lube. I like Joe. They make a bunch of different kinds.
Yeah, it's great lube too.
Yeah, like hybrids. Oh my God, they send us so much lube. I'm going to send you home with some lube.
Appreciate
How
that.
about
Thank
that?
you.
And
Yes.
a butt plug. Oh, we did.
Wonderful.
We gave you the Black Pearl.
Yes.
The Vibratex, yeah. So you're going to try that tonight and give me a call. Thank you, Dr. Chavez. This was amazing having you here. This was so fun. Did you have a fun time?
Always.
Okay, good. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to Sex with Emily. And if you love the show, please like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, share this with a friend or a partner. It might just spark something. It usually does. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's all at Sex with Emily. Oh, and I've been told I give really good email. So sign up at sexwithemily.com for free guides and articles and more ways to prioritize your pleasure.